Welcome to the Red Mountain Railroad.
In this Red Mountain Railroad video, we're going to take a virtual tour of the layout. The layout's in a 14 by 18 foot room in my basement. It does take up most of the room. Now I'll be I'm taking this with a cell phone, this video, and I'll be holding the cell phone camera in my hand as I go through the tour. So it is a little shaky at times, and please excuse that. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start this tour of the Red Mountain Railroad here on the far end of the layout, where we have a scrapyard. Gary's garage is located at the scrapyard right there. And this scrapyard is on a removable section. It slides out like a drawer, so I can get to the back of the layout to do some work if I have to. And going up the spur track, we go by Bevsy Websy's Canned Chili Factory. I featured the building of this factory in one of my earlier videos. There's 3 buildings associated with this factory. And further down this spur track, we go under the Bridge Street Bridge that leads to Edstown, one of 2 bridges that leads to Edstown. Then we cross over a road that goes towards the Lazar Brother coal mine. You can see it there through the underpass. And here, just getting up there, so the Lazar Brother coal mine. And then we go past. This is a little spur from the East Broad Top narrow gauge, where they deliver coal for household use. Going a little farther, we have the Justin Junction Station. A little further down, we have another narrow gauge spur track that comes from the East Broad Top, where we can transship loads from, like boxcar loads, from the narrow gauge into the standard gauge. And then we further down here at the end of Justin's Junction, is Horace and Sons, distributor of beer and pop, one of our customers. Okay, leaving Justin's Junction, we come to Edstown. At Edstown, we have Matakowski's Models. They build Craftsman models here. You can see it's got interior detail up in the working floor. We got Knickknacks Patty Wax, which is kind of a half building. These 2 industries are serviced out of Justin's Junction. Okay, also at Edstown, we have Charlie's General Store with interior detailing. EA Pose Automotive Repair Shop, again, interior detailed. Little house over here, lady doing laundry in the back. But what's neat here, if we get down and look inside the garage, the house is my 53 Chevy, which was my first car. It's a 1953 Chevy Bel Air. Okay, Edstown is on a removable section. I can take this section out, lift this section out if I need to get to the back of the layout over here to do any work. And there's just a couple of plugs where you just plug the electrical part of the layout in. Going back to the other end of the layout, before we go any farther to the left, you'll see way in the back there, let me zoom in, a little abandoned engine house and some old rusty steam engines that have just been left there to disintegrate. Anyway, we got the Lazar Brother coal mine, which I mentioned before. And then we have Edstown. Edstown's the biggest town on the layout. Got a lot of buildings in here. Most of them have interior detail. Not all of them, but most of them. And here we are looking down Market Street in Edstown. And there you can see, zoom in a little bit if I can hit it right. There's the Valens Hotel. It's again all completely interior detail in it. B&B bar. It's right in the back of Miles Myers 5 and 10 cent store. And then on this end, you got the Main Street Bridge. Now here we are looking down Main Street, across the Main Street Bridge into Edstown. And you can see the tracks coming up this way. This first section where Edstown is actually was a folded loop. And you can see the tracks, the other parts of the tracks from the folded loop. This one down at the bottom actually goes back towards Justin's Junction. And by the way, under the bridge there, little campfire that I reported on and some junk cars. And that's part of the folded loop right there. Anyway, leaving Edstown, we go forward and we come to Old Town. And here's Old Town Station. Old Town Station is called Old Town because this group of buildings back here I built back in like 1964, 65, all out of balsa wood. So it's the oldest buildings on the layout, so therefore this is Old Town. There's some more buildings here in Old Town. And as we go forward, we pass the Isabella Coke Works. And here's part of the Isabella Coke Works. That's the engine house and office. And the tipple for loading coal to the little Larry cars that charges the coke ovens. Here we see guys emptying coke out of the coke ovens. They go right into their, that's actually real coke. And we got a little train there delivering coal into the coke ovens from the Larry cars. This is the other end of the coke oven bank. You can see right here we have a guy who's quenching finished coke. They just unbricked the ovens. You can see the bricks laying on the ground there. And now he's quenching the finished coke to cool it down before they discharge it. And there's the water tower that supplies the water for quenching. And here's the Isabella Coke Works main office. Now going back behind the coke ovens, we see the tracks coming up from Old Town. They continue up and come here to Hillside Station. We got Hillside Station and Hillside Tower. And then here's the entrance to Isabella Coke Works. West Penn Power Company. And West Penn Power Company actually just hides the electrical box for the house. And a portion of Hillside. And then here we see the tracks coming up from the Isabella Coke Works to meet the main line. And here's this little private coal mine operation. This little tipple actually existed outside of Blairsville, PA, and this is another one of my real early scratch builds. I scratch built that structure. Coming up here, and we go under the home signals for Hillside Tower. And then we have Shirley's Feed and Seed, and there's a tank of fertilizer there. And behind the Smith Station, this is Smith, by the way, we have the Smith Brothers Transfer, another very early build of mine, 1964, all balsa wood. Then we have the Smith Farm. And by the way, here's another building that the Smith Station and the Smith farmhouse has interior detail. A little garage with a car in a garage and some junk there in the weeds. And then the tracks go through a tunnel which lead you to Blairsville. After we leave Smith, we come into Blairsville on the south end of the yard. And here's Market Street in Blairsville. The train crosses Market Street and goes into Blairsville Yard, goes past the Blairsville passenger station. There's the old Moose building. It's actually the DeMea building where the Moose was for years in Blairsville. And coming forward, we have the freight station. Let me zip to the other side so you get a better view of this. Here we're on the other side of the peninsula, and you can see there's the passenger station, and here's the freight station. These are all scratch-built models. They're fairly accurate to what existed in Blairsville back in the day. Next is the coal-ring and sand tower. This is one of my favorite models. I scratch-built this thing in, with a spiral staircase. A lot of detail to it. Then we have Blairsville Yard proper that leads to the turntable and the engine house, and to the right of the engine house is a machine shop, and to the left is the yard office and oil house. Coming around here, you can see there's some welding going on here in the yard. We can look into the engine house as we go by. There's several locomotives in the engine house. Roundhouse. And this end is just storage for parts and that sort of thing. We're going back on this end again. Get another view of the coaling wharf. Picking up the tour coming out of Edstown, we go through an area where there's really no scenery. It goes through a little tunnel and it actually just runs behind my workbench. You can see it right here running behind the workbench. And then it leads down to Kingston. Okay, and there's part of the Loyal Hannah Creek. And there's the Kingston Dam. And there's a bridge that goes to Derry. There's the old Kingston Station. The Latrobe Waterworks. Coming down, we're following the Loyal Hannah Creek. Here's the creek. There's the tracks. And we also have the Kingston plant. This was a Kennametal plant. It's depicted as it was in the middle 40s. Going back, looking at the creek. Follow the creek down. And we're at the other end of the plant. And we follow the tracks. We come here to the end of the layout where it curves. And here we have a little summer stock theater. This is an old Revell kit that I put together. It has a stage inside. It has a lot of people sitting there on seats watching the plays. And let me see if I can sneak this up where you can see inside. You can see inside the stage and what's going on at the theater. Okay, then leaving Kingston area, we go by another little campsite with another campfire. Come around, go towards the limestone tipple. This tipple still exists along Route 30 between Latrobe and Ligonier on the west side of Route 30. It's a concrete structure. And limestone came down from the hillside and it was delivered to hoppers here in this structure. And then when we go through this tunnel portal at the end, it takes you back to the reverse loop that takes you on back up to Edstown. Well, that's the end of this Red Mountain Railroad video. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more detail about the different stations on the layout, I have a number of videos about each station. Just go to my video list and you can find more information about each of the stations on my railroad. Thank you.